Today's project, disassembly. Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Today we're going to be taking apart this Suzuki Hayabusa. It's a 1999 model, I believe. And what we're getting at in this thing is the engine, because a friend of mine, stuff blowing around out here, excuse me, thought someone was coming. A friend of mine purchased this to use the engine in his sand buggy. Like I said, as you can see, it's wrecked. Probably really not worth putting this back together, but the engine is definitely going to be valuable for him. He has a sand buggy that runs a Hayabusa engine, and having an extra running engine is going to be a heck of a good deal for him. So once we get this out, once we get the engine out of here, then I am going to be swapping some gears around. He's got some back cut gears that he runs in his sand buggy, and I don't know what else we'll be doing. The engine fortunately didn't suffer too much damage, but we do have this cover here. I think that's for the starter gears. That's broken, this bent bolt, so we'll have to figure out how to get that off without destroying anything else. And we'll take another look at everything on the engine. But to begin with, I'm going to pull the seats off, and we'll do that right now. Okay, pull the seats off, pull the battery, pull the tank, and I'll remove this front fairing that's all busted up, get all that out of the way, and we'll pull this radiator. It's obviously broken as well. I'll get all that done and I'll come back to you. Radiator is removed, tank is removed. I got all this front fairing stuff off of here. Look at how this brake line broke. Craziness. Considering that broke and the master cylinder doesn't appear to be broken. Took off the tail section, and that is about it. I'll remove the battery. So now I'm going to take off the exhaust, the air box, and start disconnecting some wires here. The nice thing about this is that I am not putting this back into the bike, so I'm not too terribly concerned, but I'm not going to be wrecking anything. But you know, I ain't got to worry too much about where everything gets routed and that sort of thing, so it's kind of nice. Getting there. We're almost where we need to be. I got all the wires disconnected. You can see the whole wiring harness has been pulled out, so there's none of the bike wiring harness still on the front area here, except for the parts that are attached to whatever items. But the next thing we need to do is to get this clutch slave cylinder off of here, which is, I remember, it's just these two bolts, so we should be able to pull that out and then maybe feed it up and get it out of the way. And then I got to take the sprocket cover off, and looks like we have a master link on this chain. That's great. So we'll pull the chain off. Probably don't even have to pull that sprocket cover off now that I see that. And then I do not have a dang motorcycle stand. I need to get a stand for the back of bikes. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to prop up the back of this bike, because this side stand, wow, how could I forget that? The side stand is actually a mount on the engine here, so we'll figure something out for that. But I'll get this off, and we will come back to you once I got her propped up and ready to go. I'll get the chain off too. There you go. Not great, but it's gonna hold it. We're off of that. So I'm gonna remove the side stand. So I've got 2 Allen head bolts up here holding the front of the engine. And then there's one right underneath here, and then there's one here, and that's, well, wait, they got one there too. So 4, I guess there's one on the other side. So 4 up on the front, and then 2 through bolts. So what I'm gonna do is, I've already loosened these. I'm gonna take these other ones out, and then I'll probably remove this one, and then I'll get a jack underneath here, and we'll take the last one out, and we'll get it down on the ground. So those bolts came out pretty easy. Now we have this adjustable spacer. There's a spacer on that side. That one just popped out. So you got these adjustable spacers. There's one here, one there, and then one down on this bottom one. And they look like that. Now they're supposed to be like a special tool to use to remove those, adjust those. And in true Tom's Tinkering and Adventures fashion, we are going to replace that with a hammer and a punch. I don't know if you're able to see this. Anyway, I'm gonna get the punch on here. Yeah, you might not be able to see exactly what I'm doing, but you'll get the idea here. Get the punch on here, and then loosen the lock collar. There you go. Lock collar's loose. And now you should be able to turn the spacer. I'm turning it from the inside here. See that? You probably don't have to do, probably really don't even have to do that, honestly. Just enough to see there's that other spacer right there. So all that does is just closes off the gap. Easy day. So now all that's holding this engine in is the lower pivot bolt, one down here, and these upper 2. And that should be it, unless I'm mistaken, and I have been once before in my life. So I'm going to get the floor jack underneath here, and we'll pull that lower pivot bolt and these upper ones out, and we'll see what we can do. Cheers. All right, so she's out. This is a big, heavy engine. Hayabusa's 1300cc engine, and it's a heavy bike. This is no punk. I did a video a while back on my son's R6 where I did an engine swap on it, and I was able to get that stuffed up in there by myself. And I've done, actually I did a 1300 engine before on a Yamaha before I was doing YouTube, FJR 1300, and that's shaft drive, a little bit harder than this. So doing this by yourself is not easy. The bottom of the engine is not flat, so getting a jack under there is not easy. And then also, since the motorcycle is so low, you can't drop it too much, so you really have to lift the bike off of the engine. And on that Yamaha, that was the factory manual way of doing it, was to set the engine level and then lift the bike over it. So I don't have a manual. So you can yell at me all you want about reading the manual on how to do this, but that might be the way you're supposed to do these as well. Lift the bike over the engine. It's really not too bad. The weight of the bike is pretty light without the engine in there. So we are done with the engine removal. I'm going to push some stuff out of here. We'll go over the bits and pieces, and we'll see you back in a second. There we are. Empty chassis. I got the engine on. I got this little wheeled cart thing that I got. I don't know where I got that from, but I've had it for a long time. So that's good to go, ready to get transported out of here. And then I kind of separated parts that are possibly useful. Like we've got this side cover that's got a hole in it, but maybe somebody could use it. The tank's got a dent in it, but maybe you could use it. And the exhaust, this is very slightly damaged. That probably will sell pretty easily. And then these items are all pretty good shape. Seat, well, that windscreen's probably scuffed or whatever, but anyway. And then over here are the items that Probably not much left on them that's useful, and the tail light out of there and a few other little bits and pieces, but anyway, we triaged it all out. So the next step is going to be when my buddy pulls the engine out of his sand car, we're going to have the two next to each other, and I am going to be swapping over transmission gears. So hopefully I'm able to get in here and get to them. From what I have read online, it is accessible without having to take the entire engine apart. It looks like we split right there. So I'm thinking it's a possibility. Be a pain in the butt, but a possibility nonetheless. So we're going to end it here for now. I'm going to clean up and put everything in boxes and bags and let my buddy know it's time for him to come and get his engine and get his stuff out of here. All right, if you're digging what I'm putting out, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. And if you're not already a subscriber, please consider doing so. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.